Take a deep breath right now. Wherever you are, whatever you're carrying, whatever thoughts are racing through your mind, pause for just a moment. You didn't stop by accident. You didn't click this video randomly. This is a divine appointment. In a world that never slows down, Allah is gently asking you to stop. Not forever, not for hours, just for 10 minutes. 10 minutes that can realign your heart, restore your peace, and remind your soul who is truly in control. Life can be loud. Responsibilities pile up, expectations increase. People demand more from you than you feel you have to give. And slowly, without realizing it, your heart becomes tired. Not physically tired, but spiritually tired. And here's the beautiful truth. Allah never intended for you to carry life alone. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not doing more, but stopping. Stopping to remember Allah. Stopping to breathe His mercy in. Stopping to let your heart hear what it has been missing. You see, your soul has a voice. And that voice has been calling you back to sujud, back to trust, back to hope. But the noise of the world has been too loud. Today, we turn the volume down. The Quran tells us that in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Not success, not money, not applause. Rest. If you've been feeling anxious, this reminder is for you. If you've been feeling distant, this reminder is for you. If you've been praying but still wondering, why Allah do you see me? This reminder is for you. Allah sees every tear you hide, every dua you whisper, every battle you fight in silence. And what you're going through is not a punishment, it's preparation. So for the next few minutes, don't scroll, don't rush. Don't distract your heart. Let this reminder wash over you. Let it rebuild what life has worn down. Because when Allah speaks to the heart, 10 minutes is more than enough to change everything. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your faith is to pause. Not because you are weak, not because you are giving up, but because your soul needs space to breathe. We live in a world that celebrates constant movement, constant achievement, constant noise. From the moment you wake up, life demands your attention. Messages, responsibilities, expectations, worries about tomorrow, regrets about yesterday, all competing for a place in your heart. In the middle of all this, Allah invites you to stop, not to fall behind, but to realign, not to lose momentum, but to regain clarity. Pausing for Allah is an act of trust. It is saying, "Yea, Allah, I believe that if I stop for you, you will take care of what I leave behind." When you pause to remember Allah, you are declaring that your time is not owned by pressure, people, or problems. Your time is a gift, and you choose to give a portion of it back to the one who gave it to you in the first place. This pause may look small on the outside, but in the unseen it is powerful. Angels are near, mercy is descending, and your heart is being softened in ways you may not immediately feel. When you pause, you give your heart permission to speak. Many times, we rush because we are afraid of what we might feel if we slow down. We are afraid of the unanswered questions, the silent pain, the weight we have been carrying. But Allah does not meet you in chaos. He meets you in stillness. In those quiet moments, when the world fades into the background, your soul begins to remember what it already knows, that Allah is near, that Allah is aware, that Allah is in control. Even when your life feels out of control, pausing for Allah is not about escaping life. It is about facing life with the right perspective. When you stop to remember Him, your problems do not always disappear, but they shrink in size. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable because you are no longer looking at it alone. You are looking at it through faith. A short pause can turn panic into patience, fear into trust, restlessness into peace. This is why even a few moments of sincere remembrance can change the atmosphere of your entire day. Allah does not ask you to pause because He needs it. He asks you to pause because you need it. Your heart was not created to run endlessly without connection. Just as your body needs rest, your soul needs remembrance. When you pause for Allah, you are refueling spiritually. You are allowing divine strength to replace human exhaustion. You are reminding yourself that success is not only found in how much you do, but in how deeply you stay connected to the one who guides your steps. In that pause, something shifts within you. Your breathing slows, your thoughts settle, and your heart feels lighter. You begin to realize that you do not have to carry every burden alone. Allah has always been carrying you, waiting for you to stop long enough to feel His presence. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. You can rest your body, take a break, even step away from your responsibilities for a while, and still feel heavy on the inside. This is not physical exhaustion, this is spiritual tiredness. It shows up when your heart feels distant, when your prayers feel rushed, when your faith feels routine instead of alive. You keep going through the motions, but something inside you feels drained, as if your soul is running on empty. Physical tiredness comes from doing too much, but spiritual tiredness often comes from carrying too much alone. It comes from relying only on your own strength, your own plans, your own understanding. When life pressures increase and remembrance decreases, the soul begins to weaken. You may still smile, still function, still fulfill your duties, but inwardly you feel disconnected. That disconnect slowly affects how you think, how you respond, and how you see Allah during your struggles. One of the signs of spiritual tiredness is when worship starts to feel like a burden instead of a refuge. Salah feels heavy, not because it is difficult, but because the heart is distracted. Duas become shorter, not because there is nothing to say, but because hope feels low. You still believe in Allah, but the closeness you once felt seems distant. This does not mean your faith is gone. It means your soul is asking for attention. Unlike physical tiredness, spiritual tiredness is not cured by sleep, entertainment, or escape. You can distract your mind, but the emptiness remains. The soul was created to be nourished by remembrance, by connection, by trust in Allah. When it is deprived of that nourishment, it weakens. Just as a body becomes tired without food, the heart becomes tired without dhikr. This is why people can have everything they wanted and still feel exhausted on the inside. Allah, in His mercy, allows us to feel this tiredness as a signal, not as a punishment. It is a reminder that something is missing, not that something is wrong with you. Spiritual tiredness is an invitation to return, to slow down, to reconnect. It is Allah gently calling your heart back to what gives it life. When you recognize this tiredness and respond to it with sincerity, it becomes a turning point instead of a breaking point. The beautiful thing is that spiritual tiredness can be healed quickly when you turn back to Allah. A sincere moment of remembrance can revive what felt dead inside. A quiet sujood can release a weight you have carried for months. When you reconnect with Allah, strength returns, not always to your circumstances, but to your heart. You may still face the same challenges, but you face them with renewed trust and inner peace, knowing that your soul is no longer fighting alone. Many people spend their lives searching for peace in places it was never meant to be found. They look for it in success, in money, in relationships, in recognition, believing that once they reach a certain level, their hearts will finally settle. Yet, even after achieving what they once dreamed of, the restlessness remains. The reason is simple but profound. The heart was not created to be satisfied by the temporary. It was created to be fulfilled by remembrance of Allah. True peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of Allah in the middle of them. When the heart remembers Allah, something deep and unseen begins to happen. The noise inside starts to quiet. The racing thoughts slow down. The constant worry about what might happen tomorrow loses its grip. This is because remembrance shifts your focus from what you cannot control to the one who controls everything. In that shift, the heart finds rest. Remembrance of Allah is powerful because it reconnects you to your purpose. When life feels overwhelming, it is often because you have forgotten why you are here and who is guiding your journey. Dhikr brings that awareness back. A simple phrase spoken with sincerity can calm a heart that has been anxious for hours. It is not the length of the remembrance that matters, but the presence of the heart while remembering. Even a few moments of sincere connection can outweigh long periods of distraction. Peace that comes from Allah is different from the peace the world offers. Worldly peace is conditional. It depends on circumstances going your way. As long as things are stable, you feel calm. But the moment something changes, the peace disappears. The peace that comes through remembrance is steady. It remains even when life is uncertain, even when answers are delayed. This is because it is rooted in trust, not in outcomes. When you make remembrance a part of your daily life, your heart becomes stronger. You begin to respond differently to stress, to disappointment, to hardship. What once triggered fear now invites patience. What once caused panic now calls for prayer. The heart that remembers Allah does not become free from trials, but it becomes anchored. It no longer drifts with every wave of emotion because it is tied to something eternal. Allah promises that hearts find rest through His remembrance, and this promise is timeless. It applies to every heart, in every place, at every stage of life. When you feel unsettled, it is not a sign that Allah has left you, it is a sign that your heart is longing for Him. Remembrance is not a duty meant to burden you, it is a mercy meant to carry you. When you return to remembering Allah, you return to your natural state, a state where the heart feels safe, supported, and at peace, even when the path ahead is not fully clear. Trusting Allah during unseen struggles is one of the deepest tests of faith. It is easy to trust when the path is clear, when answers are visible, and when outcomes make sense. The real challenge comes when you are praying, doing your best, and still cannot see how things will work out. These are the moments when the heart feels vulnerable, when doubts whisper, and when fear tries to take control. Yet it is precisely in these unseen struggles that trust in Allah becomes most meaningful. Unseen struggles are the battles no one knows about. The quiet worries you carry into the night, the questions you are afraid to ask out loud, the pain you smile through during the day. From the outside, everything may look fine, but inside, you are wrestling with uncertainty. Trusting Allah here means believing that He sees what people do not, that He understands what words cannot explain. It means holding on to faith even when there is no immediate relief. Allah does not require you to understand His plan in order to trust Him. He only asks you to believe that His wisdom is greater than your understanding. When you cannot see what Allah is doing, He is often doing the most important work. He may be protecting you from something you cannot yet recognize, preparing you for something you are not yet ready to receive, or shaping your character in ways that will benefit you long after this struggle passes. Trust grows in the dark, not in the light. In unseen struggles, trust is not passive. It does not mean ignoring your pain or pretending everything is fine. Trusting Allah means continuing to pray even when you feel tired, continuing to hope even when disappointment lingers, continuing to do what is right even when results are delayed. It is choosing faith over fear again and again without needing immediate reassurance. Every time you choose trust, your heart becomes stronger. These moments also teach you to rely on Allah rather than outcomes. When you stop measuring your faith by results, you begin to experience a deeper peace. You realize that your responsibility is effort and sincerity, not control. Control belongs to Allah alone. This realization lifts a heavy burden from the heart. You no longer feel the pressure to fix everything because you know you are not meant to. Allah is especially close during unseen struggles. He hears the prayers you cannot finish, understands the tears you cannot explain, and rewards the patience no one else sees. Trusting Him in these moments is never wasted. Even if you do not see immediate change, something within you is changing. Your heart is being refined, your faith is being strengthened, and your connection with Allah is becoming more sincere. One day, when clarity comes, you will look back and realize that the moments when you felt the most uncertain were the moments when Allah was guiding you most closely. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, but in reality, it can be one of the most powerful forms of worship. In a world filled with constant noise, notifications, conversations, and demands, silence creates space for the heart to reconnect with Allah. When you intentionally step away from distractions and sit quietly, you are not doing nothing. You are making room for awareness, reflection, and presence. This quiet turning inward allows the soul to listen instead of constantly speaking. Silence in worship is not about isolating yourself from life. It is about detaching from the noise that drowns out your inner voice. When everything around you is loud, the heart struggles to feel closeness to Allah. Silence softens the heart. It allows thoughts to settle and emotions to surface honestly. In that stillness, you begin to recognize what you have been carrying, what you have been avoiding, and what you truly need from Allah. There is a deep sincerity in silent worship. Words can sometimes become routine, spoken without reflection. Silence, however, demands presence. When you sit quietly after salah, remain still in sujud, or pause before making dua, your heart speaks without language. Allah understands this silent communication. He knows what your heart is saying, even when your tongue cannot find the words. In those moments, sincerity flows naturally because there is no performance, only connection. Silence also teaches patience. It slows you down and reminds you that not everything needs an immediate response. Many times anxiety grows because we rush to react, to solve, to explain. In silence, you learn to wait with Allah, to trust that clarity will come in its time. This waiting itself becomes an act of worship. It shows reliance, humility, and submission to divine timing rather than human urgency. Through silence, the heart becomes more aware of Allah's presence. You begin to notice subtle shifts within yourself. A calmness replaces restlessness. A sense of being supported replaces loneliness. This is not because your problems have disappeared, but because your heart feels accompanied. Silence creates an environment where faith can breathe. It strips away unnecessary noise and brings you back to what truly matters. Allah meets you in these quiet moments. When you are alone with your thoughts and turn them toward Him, He draws nearer. Silence becomes a bridge between your heart and divine guidance. It allows you to feel grounded, reassured, and aligned. In choosing silence as a form of worship, you are choosing depth over distraction, presence over noise, and connection over chaos, allowing your heart to be gently restored through stillness.